So here we've been using these these promises, right? So that because we are using asynchronous communication with the server, right? Some folks find this syntax to be a little jarring, right? And so there is an alternative syntax that might make this a little bit easier to read, right? So if we go to the course service, we can rewrite this in a different syntax, which some folks might find it easier. And it's called the async await syntax. Right? And let me show you. What we like to be able to do here is that we like to be able to use the techniques that we learned how to code early on, right? The way we think about coding is that code is executed from left to right and from top to bottom, right? And there's no skipping. You execute the first line, then you execute the second line. There's no skipping. It has to be read from top to bottom. This code, it doesn't execute from top to bottom, right? Instead, this function here doesn't wait, right? It sends the request and it does not block. It continues, right? The execution continues, and that's why we need to provide a callback, right? Where we're going to be called back later on when the response comes back. Right? So it's a different way of thinking about the execution here. So we're not blocking, right? We're not waiting. Instead, I'm going to go do something else. I'm going to do some animation of some cats or whatever, right? And at some point in the future, I'm being interrupted, right? And so somebody's going to call me and interrupt me by calling this function, say, hey, it's been half a second. Here's the response from the server, and now I'm handling it. Yes, I stop animating. I come back and parse this and take this, and then at some point I get back the list of courses and then I update it. So it's all this is happening asynchronously. Yes. So some people find this jarring, this syntax. So let's so this new syntax, which again it's a layer of abstraction on top of promises. Underneath it's the same thing. It's promises, but it wraps it into a syntax that some people find a little more easier to understand. So let's take a look at the create. To be able to, so what we like to be able to write instead is use the normal Turing machine, von Neumann, from top to bottom, left to right. Folks would like to do something like this. Instead of having this response here in the then, people would prefer to write the following. I'm gonna need a curly bracket here. People would like to do a const response. Right? People would like to read it this way. The fetch goes, blocks, waits, and then when it comes back, it passes me the response, and I can store it in a local variable. Once I have that variable, I then want to take that response, right? Parse it and then return. This is how people would want to write it. Okay? It goes out to the server, comes back, right? I can store it in a local variable, and then the next line, I'm going to parse the JSON, and that's what I return. Yes, right. This is the synchronous implementation. This won't work, right? This won't work because fetch doesn't block. Fetch doesn't block. Instead, it just it tells us oops. Oh. Okay. Instead, right? It doesn't wait. It just continues. It doesn't block. So there's a new keyword, a new set of keywords that you can force it to look like it's waiting, right? It looks like it's waiting. It's called await. So that it behaves the way you are thinking about it, right? And this keyword only works if you tag your function as async, right? This function is an asynchronous function, right? And underneath, handle, right, all the awaits as if you were actually awaiting. What it's actually doing is it's wrapping all these .thens, so that we're not wrapping it inside of .thens. It's internally it's doing all the .thens for us. Yes, right. So if we do that and we come back and we refresh, and let's see if we broke it. So cs5500, and we refresh. There it is. So it still works. Right? It works just the same way. Everybody okay? Right. Now we can go back and look at the who's calling create. So create course is being called by course manager. Where is it? Create course. It's this one right here, create course, right? So this too, we're using this .then, and people again find this jarring. What instead we would like to be able to write, if this were a simple, from left to right, top to bottom, we would like to do something like const actual courses, actual course, course, right? And then once we have the actual course, we would like to say, oh, that's all, right? Just that, right? And do the log. Oh, we would like to do the log. Excellent. We can do the log here. This is the way we would like to think about it, right? We call the function blocks and waits to come back from the server, and then we log it. But this is an asynchronous function. It's not going to wait. It's just going to keep going, right? And an actual course will not have your course, right? So that if we think about it the way it behaves the way we'd expect it, again, we would put in a wait in front of this, right? Wait for this. But a wait only works if you tag your function as an async function. All right. Okay. We can also, after we have the actual course is being created, we can go find the course again, right? We can say find all the courses, store it here in all the courses, all courses. This is the way we like to think about it, right? It's not actually works like that way. And then once we have the course, we would like to say this dot set state, courses is equal to all courses, right? Again, this doesn't block unless you say a wait. Actually, it's not really blocking. It's still asynchronous, right? It's just that it's handling all the .thens for us, right, and nesting them correctly, right? So that if we go back and we refresh and we call here, whatever adds it right there, it's adding. Everybody good? Yes. Oh no, it'll happen in the sequential in the sequence that it's declared, right? So it'll behave as if it were waiting. What it does is just it's nesting a whole bunch of .thens. .thens nested inside of a .then nested inside of a .then, right? So it's things that are asynchronous is making them synchronous and the only way you can wait is that when you get a response from the first one, then you can execute the second one. Once you get the response from the second one, then you can execute the third one, and so on and so forth, right? Which I think we wrote that on Tuesday, right, or last week when we're doing the user. That makes sense. There's one more place where we can do this too. And here in the component did mount, we also have a .then, right? The way we would like to rewrite this is we get the constant all courses, right? And we do a find all courses, and once we have the courses, we want to do this dot set state, right? Courses is equal to all courses. Now, this is the way we would like to think about code, executing from top to bottom, waiting for the functions to finish, right? But that won't work because this is asynchronous. So we would like to tell it, hey, wait, but only you will only wait if you label this with an async, right? And you can convert this into an arrow function, right? And then put a async in front of this, right? So that now it behaves the way you would expect, maybe. Yeah, there it is. It works. Everybody good? That was still with me? All right.